What up, everybody? My name is Steph, and welcome to my BookTube channel, The Beauty and the Books. And before we go any further on this, I'm going to roll my intro. Thanks, guys, for tuning in, and I would love for you guys to like and subscribe and share this because we're about to have an amazing time. All right, so I'm gonna be doing the BookTube Newbie Tag. This is a good way for you guys to get to know me, and I wanna get to know you guys too. So comment below where you're watching from and what are you excited about this BookTube channel. Why are you excited about it? Just post whatever you want. I wanna hear what you have to say. So we're gonna start with these questions. The first one being, why did I start this channel? So I started this channel for a few reasons. First of all, I love to read, and I love to read socially. So this is a good way for me to be able to bring all of that together in this wonderful platform. And I can be able to talk to you guys and talk about my passion. And it's just a cool way for me to kind of build this community of people that I can eventually meet up with and have coffee with, or chai tea like I'm drinking right now, and vibe out to some books. So next question is, what are some fun and unique things that I can bring to BookTube? So one thing that I love to do that I think is pretty unique, and everybody that I have put onto this thanks me for it. Brace yourselves, because it's about to be revolutionary, okay? I create soundtracks for every book that I read. I know you don't gotta tell me, it's genius. So right now I'm reading Creativity Inc., which is about one of the founders of Pixar. So before I even started reading this book, and I'm about to be finished with it in about 2 days, I went and did some research on like Pixar, some of the animated Pixar movies and some of the soundtracks, if they had a soundtrack that released with the films. And I kind of picked and chose a few of those songs and compiled them on my own soundtrack so that while I'm listening to this, whether, wherever I'm reading, I can have in my ear pods, I can have in my headphones, and I can vibe out. You hear me? I be vibing. And when I do that, it totally changes my reading experience. It definitely adds like this other element of depth to reading, and it totally brings me there. And I feel like, especially with a book like this, it allows me to kind of tap in to the creative process that happens at Pixar and what they think about and what goes on in the creators' minds and the authors' minds when they're making these amazing films. So that is something unique that I do, and that is something that I'm going to bring to my BookTube. So any book that I chat about that I've read, even if I haven't read it, 9 times out of 10, I've already curated the playlist beforehand. Any of that kind of stuff, I'm going to link it below. So below you'll find my playlist for this Pixar, the Creativity Inc. Pixar book. I have it on a YouTube playlist, and every time I have friends, they're always talking to me about putting it on Spotify, putting it on Tidal, putting it on Apple Music. I'm gonna get there, guys, but I'm gonna need you guys to hop in on this, so when I do it, we can have like this big movement of people that just like playlists for their books. I'm telling you, it's gonna be a thing. And remember, you saw it here first. So the next question is, what are you most excited for about this new channel? So one thing that I'm mad excited for is, okay, I'm gonna put these back on because I'm about to read you BookTube real quick. I'm super excited to have this channel that represents a woman of my complexion, because I flex my complexion all day. A woman of my complexion, a woman of my, don't want to sound, but a woman of my intellect. I am an entrepreneur. and to just bring a different level to BookTube that I found missing, which is one of the reasons why I did kind of want to start this channel. I didn't see a lot of people that look like me. I didn't see a lot of people that talk like me. And this is something like I'm super excited to bring. I'm also excited to bring, I'm about to read BookTube Fulfilled, because I'm excited to bring some more original content. I'm sorry. I do love BookTube, but the TBRs, the hauls, it's all a bit overwhelming and redundant. So what I want to do is bridge this weird kind of gap that even though BookTube is its own entity within YouTube, that it cannot kind of like cross over into whatever else goes on, or some of the other favorite things that you like to do on YouTube. Me personally, I like watching infographics. I love watching the TED Talk animation, TED Ed animation things. I love watching my beauty guru. Shout out to Jackie Ina. I love Jackie Ina, I'm sorry. Shout out to her. I love these aspects of YouTube too. And being able to bridge that gap, if I could get a person that doesn't necessarily read all the time to be engaged enough in my channel that makes them want to pick up a book because they found it so entertaining, that is the goal. My goal is to be able to get as many people on this earth reading as possible so I can talk to them about reading. So just being able to bridge those gaps, being able to represent kind of a marginalized group of BookTube is also something that really excites me. And I'm super excited because let me tell you, BookTube, the content has to get better. This content hasn't changed since 2014. So we're here. Put an S on my chest. I'm here to save the day. Okay? Next question is, why do I love reading? I love reading because it allows me a chance to kind of escape my day-to-day life. And I know that's a pretty cliche answer, but it is true. Every day we see the news, I'm on YouTube, social media, and it's good to be able to put my phone on silent and detach for like a couple of hours out of the day, just to be able to like submerge myself in other people's thoughts, or if I'm reading fantasy, a totally different world. Also, it allows me a good opportunity to kind of bridge the gap. Bridge that gap between what I'm seeing on TV and what I'm reading. If I'm reading a book about politics or a political figure, it allows, or even poetry. I just got finished reading The Source of Self-Regard by Toni Morrison. And a lot of things that she wrote in that, a lot of her speeches and essays, even though they were written in the 90s, they very much reflect kind of what's going on today in our real world, in our everyday lives. So being able to read a book and make these connections in the real world is something that I love to do. I love it. Reading just, it makes you a well-rounded individual. So there's that. What book series or book got me into reading? So I am not a cliche basic bitch. And although I love Harry Potter and I love Twilight, those are not the books that got me reading. Not at all. So I would say the main book that got me into reading was when I was in the 3rd grade. I went to my elementary school library to just pick out a book. We had to pick out a book every week. And I said, you know what? I'm going to pick a really thick book, what I considered thick at the time. And I was like, I'm going to read this book. And so I found a book and I picked it out, and it ended up being The Tale of Despereaux. And years later, they ended up doing a movie about it, which it was okay. But the book is what I read in the 3rd grade, one of my very first, the very first book that had me reading a book page to page, and I felt totally engaged in what I was reading, and I felt like I was there. And from then on, it was like a high, and I said, I got to feel like this all the time. So from then on, I became a reader, and I never looked back. Shout out to Taylor Despereaux, and I still read it today, and I advise and employ that no matter your age, you pick up that book or check it out from your library and read it, because it really is it's a cute story, and it's a good story, and I think that it can kind of be cross-generational. If I had to say a series, I wasn't a big series reader until about the fourth or fifth grade, when I started reading Lemony Snicket, a series of unfortunate events. And this is when they first came out. So as the books dropped, my library would get the new books, and I stocked the library to get those new books first. I was not playing about that. So if I had to say, Tale of Despereaux, and then a few years later or a year or two later, a series of unfortunate events. And that's really what got me loving books. I say a series of unfortunate events is what got me into loving series, like series books and trilogies and stuff. So there's that. What questions would I ask my favorite booktubers? So, unpopular opinion alert, I really don't have a favorite booktuber. I do have booktubers that I enjoy. But like I said earlier, a lot of the content, it doesn't sit with me and it doesn't resonate with me. And I don't particularly feel involved or included in the content. But I do have people that I do enjoy watching. And if I had to ask them a couple of questions, it would just be three really surface level questions. Where did you get your shelves? I was living after I went to school in Tallahassee, Florida. I live in a beautiful beach town on the east coast of Florida. And I went to college in Tallahassee, Florida. I got my first job in Atlanta, and then I moved to Brooklyn, New York. And so I actually just recently moved back home like a month ago. And so our house is pretty big. We have like 6 bedrooms in here. And I am changing one of the bedrooms into a library. So I'm kind of filming right here for now until I'm done with that. So I would ask them where they get their shelves from, because I want to put them in my library. And I would ask them what nonfiction book do they love, or what nonfiction book are they currently reading. And the last question I would ask them is coffee or tea, because that tells a lot about you. I'm drinking chai tea right now, but that's only because I can't have coffee at the moment. I'm usually like a 2 to 3 cup a day person when it comes to coffee. Next question. What challenges do I think starting a BookTube channel will be the hardest to overcome? So I think one major challenge that I don't like to feed into a lot of like the BookTube drama that I've watched about and that kind of happened over the past couple of years, but I do think a challenge would be finding a good space for me in this community. I won't get too much into it. That'll be another video for another day. But outside of that, I think a challenge would be making everybody feel comfortable enough to want to come and talk to me. Don't be shy. The internet is a big place where you can say whatever you want to say,
as long as it's within the guidelines of respectful and YouTube's little terms and conditions of being commenting.
Be respectful, and that's all we ask over here. But don't be afraid to say what you mean and mean what you say. So creating this community of people who don't mind chatting and sharing and being open about what they're reading and what they're feeling, I feel like that could be a hard hurdle. But you know, join this channel and let's chat, and don't make it challenging for me. Boo. Boop. Don't make it challenging. Let's have a good time. This is a good time channel. When did I start reading? I feel like I kind of addressed that, but I started reading probably in kindergarten when they started teaching me how to read. No shade to this question. but all shade. But I would say 3rd grade, The Tale of Despero. Next, where do I read? I like to read when I'm at home. I like to read in my bed. I really like to read anywhere with a little end table because I can pick up my tea or coffee easily. That's good chai. I like to pick up my tea or coffee easily. I like to be able to put my glasses down easily, pick them up, all that kind of stuff. I'm also what I like to call a social reader. So I like to talk, I like to chitty chat, and I like to go out in the world and read, even if I'm not talking to anybody. So whenever I live in a different place, I haven't lived at home in about I haven't lived back at home regularly in about 10 years. So finding places here locally to read, I'm still figuring that out. But when I lived in other cities, I always found in a indie coffee shop or bookstore to go pop a squat and just pull up a book, because I was always surrounded by people that I knew wanted to be there and that enjoyed reading books as much as I did. My dog. And I'll do a whole separate video. That'll be a different video later about places that I used to go in these different cities, and me recommending some places where you can go post up and read too, because there are a lot of awesome places out there that are very cool, that cater to readers and writers and just people that enjoy literature on all kind of levels. The last question is, what kind of books do I like to read? So my personal favorite are nonfiction. I love memoirs and biographies and autobiographies. I tend to go towards those first. And then I make my way to the fiction section because I also like to read fantasy and fiction books. I also love to social read. I'm a social reader, and I keep saying that because I'm trying to drill in people's heads what social reading is. And surprisingly, for BookTube to be a channel all about people who love to read, the fact that there's not a big variety of the different types of reading is very interesting to me. Those are the kind of books that I like to read, and I can't wait to be able to share these type of things with you and introduce you to some new ways to read with other people, because that's what this channel is about. This isn't a lecture, this is a conversation. Okay, this is a conversation. And if you use any social reading platforms, drop them in the comment section, because I may want to review them, and I will be reviewing social reading platforms on here. That is the end of the BookTube Newbie Tag. I hope that you guys really enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun. And I can't wait to give you guys some really, really awesome content. I want you to read a motherfucking book. So keep reading, and like, subscribe, share this, and I will get back to you with more content. Remember, tell your mama, tell a friend, tell that heifer you hate. Like and subscribe. See you later.